Hey, I'm Dan Prochka with My Pocket Marketing. Thanks for joining me for the next episode in Road to Open. Really excited to talk to my guest today, who I like to count as a friend and colleague who has a lot of insight into entrepreneurship, starting a business, and rolling with the punches as it comes to hurdles along the way. So if before we jump in, if you're looking to be notified about future live conversations, looking to get some tips and news on marketing and hear stories or read stories from other businesses and what's going on, definitely invite you to head over to mypocketmarketing.com/join. Would love to keep you in the loop on what's happening with us, but more so give you information on how to grow your business and your bottom line. So without further ado, please welcome Josh Cook. Hello.
Hi, Daniel. Thanks for the warm welcome.
You're welcome. It's always awesome talking to you. I think something about your demeanor, the calmness, it's warming. It's pleasant.
Hey, well, I appreciate it. But you definitely didn't see me firsthand account of that Fox News interview with the sweaty palms. I don't know if I was that calm then.
Well, hopefully there's a little less pressure today for you.
Yeah.
But speaking of the news, I mean, congrats. There's been a lot of mention and a lot of good press for you recently.
Yeah, there certainly has been. It's been great to have the support of the public and the community and some of our news channels to just help get the word out, because it's impactful and definitely helps us as a business survive and helps our employees be able to come into work every day and have something that they're proud to work on.
Yeah, I know most of that was around these little guys and the work that you've been doing on the hand sanitizer front, which we will, yeah, there you go, got yours too, which we'll definitely talk about. But just real quick, for those who aren't familiar with Green Door Distilling Company, tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so Green Door Distilling Company is a craft distillery, so we focus on making craft spirits of all different varieties. For us, it's about creating new experiences for the drinking public. So whether that's a cocktail or spirits themselves, we've been operating in Kalamazoo, Michigan, my hometown, go Kazoo, since 2016 we opened doors. So yeah, coming into our fourth full year.
Real cool. I mean, in those 4 years, I have to tip my hat. I mean, one of the things we've talked a lot about over these 4 years is like the branding and the story that you tell about Green Door, that I know has really led to a pretty devoted following of fans. I count myself in that bunch, actually. So I've got the new coffee liqueur, actually, not a sponsor, guys, a guest. Yes. Oh man, where was I going with that? This is hilarious. So I've always tipped my hat about your branding and your marketing and the story that you tell that's gotten your following. And so over those 4 years, it's been awesome to see that growth and to see the community come behind you. And as a craft distiller, I mean, you don't have that volume, you don't have a lot of the economies of scale, et cetera, as some of the big guys. So when a situation like this hits, and I know we haven't really talked in detail about this, so I'm really curious as to when a situation like this hits, like what went through your mind and how did you address it? Like, where were you when it happened and what happened internally?
Yeah. The phase of the company we were in when this happened was still very much a startup. We're less than 5 years old. We're innovating every day. We're making changes. We're still learning how to market and advertise to our customers. And we were frankly just getting our feet wet in a rebrand and a portfolio project to address the products we're producing both in the tasting room and then in distribution. And it got scary very quick. We were very unsure of how bad it was going to get. I would say in the first week or two, when we saw the the lockdown coming. We knew that things were going to be different. We knew that things were going to change dramatically, but we had no idea how much and how far it was going to go. Looking back, it was just shortly after St. Patrick's Day. We were doing a great job with our team building events, both events with you, Daniel, and your organizations and others. We had quite a deck built out of events upcoming for the next couple of quarters, and it put all that on a halt. And we spent the better part of a year building that out, so it was very scary. I think the silver lining for us was the minor legislative changes allowing us to do hand sanitizer, because I mentioned we were doing that rebrand and relooking at our portfolio of products. Because of that, we had pulled back from distribution of products through the Michigan Distribution Network, which is typically a big chunk of revenue for distillers.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were banking on 80+% of our gross revenue coming from the tasting room, and that all just flatlined.
Yeah, it disappeared, right?
Completely disappeared. So really what's been the saving grace is hand sanitizer and our local following that's just stood up, come out to support us, whether it's buying hand sanitizer or our bottle sales, our merchandise sales that we can do for pickup. So a few things like that we've pivoted that have really helped. But now it's looking ahead. What's next?
Yeah,
is kind of our big challenge.
I'm really interested in getting into what's ahead, because I'm a type of person that really thinks forward. But as I hear what you've been talking about, what were those conversations like internally? I mean, I know you have a board of advisors or other investors that you work with, and a whole network of individuals. I know you and your team work really closely together and communicate as a team on what the plan is. So as the lockdown notification and announcement comes into play, and as you see that, what were you doing internally? How were you communicating internally? How did you bring that team together and on both sides, either the advisors or from the operational leadership level, I guess I mean to say, and then, your actual employees?
Yeah. Good questions, Daniel. I would say as the core team here at Green Door, we, frankly, we thought it was probably only going to be a couple weeks, maybe a month tops. And
right.
we were pretty confident we could ride that out with the tasting room closed, and we were going to take that opportunity to install a small commercial kitchen and get our food license. That was first on the plate. And then we were also going to do some renovations to the tasting room to fit our brand a little bit better, just to refine things, freshen things up. And as that sort of 2-week period came to a close and we started realizing how serious and impactful this was, that the virus truly was taking people's lives every day, and that Kalamazoo was slowly starting to turn into a hot spot that we needed to strategically plan long term. And we really kind of set our eyes at, 3-4 months of potentially being shut down. So once we got through that first couple of weeks of trying to ride it out, we realized we needed to pivot fast and do whatever we could to bring some revenue into the company to keep the lights on and attempt to keep, our entire staff employed. So the second we got approval from the TTB and the FDA to make hand sanitizer, we made some serious gambles. We ordered every bottle and sprayer from 4 different manufacturers we could find. We bought their entire inventory out. So that was a smart pivot. We got a little bit lucky rolling the dice that the demand actually is sort of meeting the supply we've had. So we're still working off a lot of that supply that we've got in-house. So that's been a saving grace. And now from there, we kind of realized, okay, now that we've got things set up on the internet, we're doing, wholesale orders and individual orders through our website. What can we add to that that's still part of Green Door and the experience? And that quickly became our merchandise, our spirit bottles for pickup.
So
go ahead.
Yeah, to be clear, it sounds like, I mean, from what I'm hearing, you weren't selling any of your merchandise or the spirits online yet at this point. There was no
Correct.
online portion to any of this. So
Correct.
it's amazing. I have to say, it's amazing what happens when we get hit with these type of situations like strife and necessity, how quickly we can pivot. So you have these leadership conversations. How long was it between lockdown and your notification and approval that you could distill for the hand sanitizers?
Yeah, I think it was within about 14 days. Don't quote me on that. I can't quite remember. It's honestly been a whirlwind of the last, 8 to 12 weeks, so it's hard to keep track. But
Sure,
it
that's
was relatively quick.
probably. It sounds quick, but I bet in the moment it sounded like it probably
Oh,
felt like a lifetime. I mean, it's like
yeah,
lockdown. I mean, there's probably no inside track on knowing whether any of these things are going to come through. So it's like when the announcement comes, it's like, okay, sure,
yep.
calculated risk, which paid off for you. I mean, to the point where I remember you had said on the site that you had orders of over 11,000. You were able to make 6,000. I know you had donated almost 2,000 or probably more to a ton of organizations. I'm sure those numbers are actually higher by now.
Sure,
And the website just hasn't been updated yet.
Yeah. Yeah, well, happy to talk a little bit about it. We're really proud of the fact that we've been able to donate over 4,000 of these
That's
spray
awesome.
hand sanitizers to, frontline workers, organizations that are at risk, and it's been great. It's been a really good feeling to be able to do that. And yeah, for total volume, we're in the 10,000 range ish, maybe a little bit more. Some some wholesale, some direct to consumer. So it's helped. We've been able to keep about 80% of our staff employed, both bartenders,
That's awesome.
event staff, part-time workers, full-time workers. So shout out to my team for just stepping up and rolling with the punches. I liked one of the things I told them after we, got a couple weeks into this is, step back and appreciate what we've been able to do in a short time, because we created a startup inside of a startup inside of 2 to 3 weeks. And
Yeah.
it's really incredible to be able to do that. And while, providing something that's desperately needed in the community. So it feels really good while we're doing it.
What tool in the end or partner were you working with for the e-commerce? And I'm asking that specifically because you're in a regulated industry with spirits that I know there are age checks and other things that have to happen along the way. So is it a specialty partner that you're working with on that?
Not right now. So we're allowed to use our own proprietary systems or any of our websites to do pickup orders, but where the sort of red line is on shipping spirits.
Got it.
And it's really unfortunate that Michigan has some really old laws related to self-distribution for distilleries, which are very different than breweries. As you know, many breweries can sell their beer and their products in a radius of the manufacturing facility, but we literally cannot sell anything outside of our tasting room without going through the distribution network of the state. So what we've done to kind of find an opportunity in that is that we can utilize our website to do the sale transaction. We just have to require people to come pick it up at our location.
Sure. Cool.
Yeah.
I want to get back to your team because you're right. I think there is a huge, I mean, more than a high five, a salute. I mean, what do you call it for all of the businesses, all of us that are watching now or that are going through this, whether we are or aren't able to keep them on, there is that culture level of working together with them to understand what the best situation is. It's amazing that this pivot, that looking back, one might say genius, it was such a risk. How did you have that conversation with your team about what you're going to do? Did it come out together, or was it when the announcement came down, it was just obvious?
I think, Tyler, our head distiller, Michael, our head of growth, and Chelsea, our tasting room manager, we're very in sync. We don't lose touch over the course of even a couple of days. And so we were very in sync trying to figure out our plans. And we had seen some distilleries starting to do hand sanitizer when there wasn't a clear path forward yet. And we made the difficult decision, but smart decision, to wait a little bit longer until we had clear guidelines. And the second we did, we got essentially together as a team quickly and said, okay, we think we can do this. Let's make sure we do it right. So let's look at the formulas. Let's see if we can compound this in-house. What are the raw ingredients we need? We essentially had to build out an entirely new supply chain in the matter of a few days, as fast as we could. And, the team was on board. I think they knew that, one, it was something that was needed in the community, and it feels good to help people, quite honestly. And two, I think they saw the opportunity to keep doing something. They were already probably pretty bored sitting around home and kind of waiting for things to happen for a couple of weeks. And, I got to assume that played into it a little bit.
It is amazing. We, as humans, I'm gonna go a little ideological above. Like, it's funny when we're in the middle of hard work, we complain about it, and then the moment we don't have it for a long time, it's like, oh man, I found a lot of purpose in it. And I think there's a learning there for leaders of, like, we don't have to have all the answers at the top sometimes. Like, it is okay to work with the team, have those conversations to come up with that plan. Or even if there's some semblance of an idea at the top, but it requires buy-in from the team, and that's what I'm hearing, that you do with your team. There's this open communication back and forth. There's a lot of teamwork and collaboration to understand what a great path forward is.
Agreed. Yeah,
so
we're a very collaborative team, and so everybody, we feed off of each other. And for us, no idea is a bad idea. Let's just get it on the table and talk about it. And before you know it, we've got a website up and are doing 100% of our business through that.
Yeah. That's awesome. I, when I talk with clients about marketing, it's a holistic view. The entire team is part of it. It's not just that one marketing person. Everyone is part of this brand, of this story of how it works, all the way from the operations, delivery to the communications and sales. All the way through. It's a customer experience, client experience the whole way through. So the more that the team is a part of that process and communicating about it, the deeper it's going to be. Which I know you now have a GoFundMe to support your staff, and I know there's been a lot of support online. You're about halfway to your goal, and I know you're matching it. And I bring it up because I kind of want you to plug it right now, because there may be some who didn't know that this was going on, and that really love what Green Door does, and really want that tasting room to open back up. But without that staff, you might lose some of that magic. So tell me about the GoFundMe. Where can people go find that if they wanted to support, for those who should come support your staff?
Good way to find it is either through our website. It's going to be an icon right at the top at greendoordistilling.com. It's going to be front and center, support the Green Door staff. Or you can find a link on our Facebook page to it. A third option would be to go to GoFundMe and search Josh Cook's name or Green Door Distilling, so you can find it that way. And you hit the nail on the head. It is pretty magical when we've got our team working together and in that tasting room, coming up with innovative cocktails and really making a great customer experience for people. So I wanted to put that out there with our team to know, so that they, one, knew that I was doing whatever I could to help support them, and two, to show them the community support and backing that they have, that they may not have seen over the last few weeks. So it's been the amount of letters, the amount of emails, the amount of notes on that GoFundMe with people just saying, shout outs to our team, individual staff members' names, and that, we're rooting for you. We want to see you guys when we get back. It's really encouraging. And so anybody that's had any experience or touch point with our team, our staff, please, I do encourage you, head over to that GoFundMe. Even $1 counts. And myself and my wife, Megan, and one of our partners here at Green Door are going to help match those funds. So every $1 is $2, every $10 is $20. So it certainly does help. There's the little plug.
That's awesome. Just hearing the support from leadership, all the various individuals, supporting the staff, that really shows, the culture, the cohesiveness. I know that purchasing your product is kind of best way to support. So start there, look at the
Yep.
GoFundMe, that tip on top, appreciate, what they've done in the past, what they're currently doing and fulfilling these orders for us. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
So you make this pivot, you have these hand sanitizers, and I've talked so much about your brand and tipping my hat. Now, I want to ask a little bit about that. The first time I heard about these was through your newsletter. It wasn't
Oh,
social,
great.
it wasn't an ad. I mean, it was the actual newsletter. And what I'm curious is, as you were pivoting into the online sales, you had to pivot your entire marketing, as well to support that. What were the elements you had in mind? Just how did you approach that? Let's just start there, and I'll have some follow-ups for you on that.
Yeah, all good stuff, Daniel. It was kind of reassessing how we're communicating with our customer. We knew initially that we could use the social platforms to try and get click-throughs and some ad spends there, but quite quickly, within a couple weeks of doing that, everything started to become flagged. Things weren't delivering. And for actually the last 2 weeks, our advertising ability on Facebook's platforms was banned because we got thrown into a filter of promoting hand sanitizer, which, because there's a lot of smoke and mirrors and snake oil and gouging out there, they've chosen that anybody that uses that terminology just gets shut down.
Right.
Which makes sense. They're trying to protect the public. They don't want cures and things like that out there promoted. So, but what that meant was, okay, what are our other avenues? It's that newsletter. It's engaging with people that are already engaged and following with us. It is utilizing, we have some traditional advertising avenues, whether it's, magazines or, partnering with other businesses in town. We've gotten a lot of support from Downtown Kalamazoo Partnerships and Discover Kalamazoo, at least being listed on their websites as a PPP or a PPE manufacturer. So that's helped. We've also tried to share as much inside knowledge as we can and as many updates as we can on social. Sometimes we get bogged down, but one of the things that we're looking at doing is giving some of our staff all the privileges to our Instagram stories and accounts so they can start to do some takeovers when they're doing interesting stuff. So
That's awesome.
We're looking at that. Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. Whether it's the team in their bottling, just having a good time making sanitizer, or Tyler, our head distiller and production manager, has been working really, really hard on R&Ding about 3 or 4 new spirits that our customers have never seen before. So we've just started to touch the iceberg on what those could be. So definitely encourage people to follow us on Instagram to get some updates there.
So you say that, and I hear, and I can already feel a ton of owners and managers just clenching, like, what? You're going to give them control of all of it? How do you do that? I think it's genius because your team or your front line are those that are actually out there talking with the customers, or they're working with the product, and they have an interesting connection with the customer and the audience, and so giving them that ability, I think a lot of businesses and organizations can see a different personality to the brand. It makes it more human, so
it does.
As you think about that, what are is it full trust? And so it's like, I've hired correctly, so I have full trust. Is that step one on why this is a possibility for you? Or are there other considerations that you're also thinking about as you were thinking about making that shift?
Yeah, I think before you even asked that question, I had that T word, in my head. I think we've done a great job building a team of committed and passionate people for Green Door in Kalamazoo, and I have the utmost respect and trust with my team. I know that they're going to have a proper Green Door voice and not represent us in any way that could do harm. So think that's number one. We just have a great relationship with all of our team, and we work really, really well together. And that's kind of where it started. We've got that checkbox clicked, and so after that, it's like, okay, if you've got something neat you want to share while you're doing it in there, you don't have to pass it up the chain and get a bunch of approvals. Just go ahead and share it. Make sure it looks pretty good and it's something you're proud to share, and go for it.
Yeah, hiring the right people, that align on the culture really makes a lot of things easier. You get a team that internalizes, takes ownership, protects, while at the same time has that love to get the word out so that more people can experience, the amazing thing that is the organization of what we do, our product. So that's really cool.
100%.
So let's look forward. Now. So you made this pivot. We're doing hand sanitizer. We're selling online now. I know the governor just announced today that certain retail shops can open, next Tuesday. I know you're not in that group. We talked about that, which is unfortunate. So as we look to the future, in communicating what you have going on specifically, like what's next, where are you leaning more or most? I mean, you talked about advertising, getting flagged, you've got social, you've got your newsletter. How are you going to approach getting the word out about what's next?
Yeah, all really good questions. I think part of that is continuing to innovate and provide new things for our customers to interact with on our website. So we're looking at adding a few more products, whether that be t-shirts and specialty design stuff that pay homage to hand sanitizer and saving lives or frontline workers, stuff that is memorable for this time period in our lives, because this is truly nothing anybody's ever seen before. So we're looking at that. We're also looking at cocktail kits to go. We're in the very early stages of it. I don't want to make any promises yet, but we're definitely looking into it. We're also kind of waiting to see when some of these restrictions get removed. So one of the benefits of Green Door in our tasting room, for any of those people out there that haven't been to us yet, it is not a place that is jam-packed. It's intimate. You have kind of your little seating area. And so we already had some social distancing built in. And so we're kind of waiting and looking and watching and kind of in a holding pattern, planning for when we do get to reopen. If we reduce our seating capacity to maybe 20 or 30 people max, everybody is at least 6 to 10 feet away. What that might look like and how we could operate that way. Can we still keep up the customer service and customer experience that we pride ourselves in? So we're looking at that. From there, some other things that we're looking at in the future is, I mentioned that rebrand that we're working on to really double down on Green Door and our brand of new experiences, new adventures, the outdoors. And so spending a lot of time on that. We're taking this opportunity to make sure our foundation is strong, both on the brand, how we're communicating with customers, and that product portfolio. So some really exciting stuff coming down the pipeline.
I know that you take the adventure piece real seriously, because right, where are you again right now?
We're in Utah right now, very near the Bryce Canyon National Park.
Yeah, I know that throughout the year, basically you and your wife, you travel around the country and you come back to Kalamazoo or other places based on business and other investment needs that you have going on. And so I love that you're bringing that sense of adventure to the brand, Yeah,
it's certainly part of our life through and through.
Yeah, I remember when you started it, what was Find the Adventure or
Join the Adventure?
Join the Adventure. That's what it was. Join the Adventure was the original when it started. And so, but keeping the through line is the thing. It's just updating it, making it relevant for where we're at and for the next phase. So excited to see what rolls out next. One last thing, looking to the future, you just hired and just brought on a new team member, a new master head distiller. poached him from Chicago, I might say, which is great, bringing a lot of that talent over. And you teased a little bit. We're looking at new flavors, new elements. I'm sure you can't release a lot, but a little bit. Can I get inside track? No, anyway.
Yeah. I'll give you a little bit here. So we did bring in a new head distiller and production manager. His name's Tyler Gosser. He's an incredible individual, an incredible eye for art and branding and marketing. He went to school for marketing, once worked as a art sales director in Chicago, then converted into a mixologist and a distiller, and really kind of blended that. So a really unique individual. We've got a head distiller that understands artistic aspects and creative products, as well as the marketing that goes with that. So a couple of the unique things we're working on. One is a new botanical gin, very different from the one we're working on.
Exciting.
Trying to think what else I could give a hint at.
Is it going to be steeped? So hold on, is that one going to be steeped, or is it going to be or no, can't say yet?
That'll be vapor distilled. So that'll be
vapor
made.
Distilled. Okay.
Yep, that'll be more of a vapor distillation. We recently, while this was all going on, we purchased an additional dedicated still, a very small still, for both R&D and botanical spirits. So that's going to be arriving here pretty shortly, and it's going to allow for us to really venture off into the realm of botanical products, which I'm not going to say we're making all of these, but these fall in that category: Fernets, Amaros, digestives, aperitivos, things of that realm. So let's just say we got a few neat things in the pipeline.
That's awesome. Even if it's just in the tasting room, that is absolutely exciting. There will be many hours spent sipping and tasting in the near future. Yeah, there will be. So that's awesome that, when you have basically what I'm hearing here is when you hit hardship, just to sum all this up real quick, like when you hit hardship, it's let's get the team together, let's figure out what makes sense, and make sure that we have buy-in across the team. And if we've hired correctly, then we have a team that's going to be focused and together on the same track forward. From there, what I'm hearing is that if we have the right communication tools in place, then we're able to inform our customers. And on top of that, with the right team, we will just amplify what's going on.
Yeah. I would agree wholeheartedly.
So that is exciting as what's next. So for those who want to know more about you, get on that newsletter. So those who want to get on that newsletter, okay, I always say email is your #1 channel, because look, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, all of those social platforms can change the rules at any time, which you've experienced, in your advertising, when you went down the hand sanitizer route, just getting banned and blocked wholesale. It is the issue with AI and working in mass and everything. But you still had your newsletter. Without that, it would have been more difficult to get the word out directly to your customers, having that network of partners. But anyway, I digress. How shall people get in touch with you and or get to know more about Green Door?
Yeah, definitely follow us on our social channels. The newsletter is certainly probably the best way to get some insider information, probably before some of the general public. And if anybody wants to reach out to me directly, feel free. My email is Josh, Josh, at gddistilling.com, and would love to connect with you.
Generous, very generous. So to kind of cap this off then, of all the business owners and managers and those of us on Main Street with the smaller businesses, the startups, the mom and pop shops as they're called, what is the one piece of advice that you would give all of us, with everything that you've been through all the way from launch till now, with hitting roadblocks and pivoting and looking and overcoming? What is the one thing that you would say we should all keep in mind or do as we head toward open? many shops are going to reopen on Tuesday next week, if not Wednesday, albeit in a limited fashion. So what would you recommend or some advice to impart?
Yeah, I think one is everybody's probably heard us harp on it a little bit, is your team making sure that they're solid and taken care of, and that they understand a clear path forward on where you're headed. If they're left in an uncertain place, they're not going to be able to join onto that mission and help support it as well. So definitely clear communication to your team. Number two is a great opportunity right now to look at your foundation of what is your brand, what is your market, how are you communicating to consumers? Do you need to refreshen your website? Do you need to interact with My Pocket Marketing on how you're interacting with customers and getting that word out? It's certainly a great time to do it because you've got a little bit more time. You can do a little bit more planning than you could in the past when you're running hot and fast. So, turn this pandemic into an opportunity to reset, make sure you're doing the right things you need to communicate to your customer.
Thank you very much. Very wise words. And as Jonathan comments, drink more whiskey.
It doesn't hurt. Always testing the palate.
Well, Josh, thank you so much for your time, insight into what you're doing. I know some of the stories that smaller organizations aren't always highlighted around, so appreciate you sharing yours.
Yeah, well, thanks for featuring us, Daniel. It's always a pleasure.
Cool. So we're going to end it there today. Thank you for all who joined in. If you have other questions for Josh, like he said, he shared his email. We will, I don't know, I'll see if I can get his permission to post that somewhere. Otherwise, you could head over to greendoordistilling.com, learn more about Green Door, contact them. If you'd like to know and stay up to date about our future episodes and live conversations, head over to mypocketmarketing.com/join. Get on our newsletter. That's where we do all the announcements for these, which at this point, it seems like we're doing them weekly. So going to try and keep on that cadence. If there are topics that you'd like me to explore or individuals to have on, I would love to hear from you. You can just drop that as a comment. And of course, when you get our next newsletter, you can just reply in. So thank you so much for joining in, and we'll see you in the next one.